Right, welcome back. Go away. Not you. Welcome back. We're going to now be talking about business and personal planning. So this is things like a business plan, what that document is, what you need from it, what it can help you with. It's also going to be about thinking about your business, analyzing it a bit. We're going to be thinking about how to set ourselves goals that will help us actually achieve something meaningful within our business. All that fun stuff. Here we go. So, what is a business plan? A business plan covers all aspects. Oh my god, aspects of your business. So, literally, if you think of someone asking you a question about your business plan needs to answer almost every question that someone could possibly ask you about your business. Everything to your business hours, what you're selling, what the market's like. Literally every question a potential customer, a potential investor, someone maybe who's just interested and wants to know about your business, an advisor, a business advisor, any question they could have about your business should be within that document. And it is essentially like a roadmap. It is your strategy to help you go forward, and it helps you to, all the questions that you're asked within a business plan help you to identify the potential challenges you'll come across before you've come across them, which is really vital. I mean, it is a lot easier to jump over a hurdle when you see it 100 meters away rather than a meter from you. You need time to prepare, and you need to understand what that challenge is, and if you can avoid it as well. So yeah, and it's also a live document that changes constantly because your business is going to change constantly. It will always every business will need to change and evolve slightly to adapt and improve, and no one gets it right the first time. So essentially, if this business plan is going to be an ongoing, accurate representation of your business, it's going to need to change as you go along. So yeah, to keep it relevant and also useful, yeah. Right, so now I've described to you what a business plan is, we have a bit of an activity to do now. I would like you to, on a blank sheet of paper, on a Word document, or anywhere you can write a list. I want you to, and I've said a few things already, write a list of everything you think should go into a business plan, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do so. So, I came very close to telling you some examples of things that go into a business plan. I mean, I've told you a few things already. So things like your working hours, things like market research. What could possibly go into a business plan? What could possibly go into this document that says everything everyone would ever need to know about your business? So yeah, I'll advise you to pause the video right now, give yourself 5 minutes, and try and make a list. And we've actually tried this exercise with some university students from Northumbria Uni, and the longest list they've managed to come up with in this time had 83 things on it. So you don't feel like you need to compete with them, but just so you know that there's a very high bar set. Right, so I'll ask you to pause your video now and give it a go. Right, so hopefully now you're back after having tried that challenge. And yeah, the aim of that was to get you to have a real good think about what's important for a business and what to put in a plan. I mean, I could tell you all the answers, but the real way you're going to think about it is to essentially not have the answers given to you straight away. So yes, hopefully you'll have done that exercise and you'll have written some of the following things in it. So first of all, your business plan should tell the reader a lot about yourself. That should be a highly detailed part of the business plan. It's a bit like a CV. You're telling the person reading that business plan why you're the perfect person to do it, to run that business, to start that business. So any relevant strengths you have, experience you have, any skills that you have, but also skills that you've recognized that you need. That's an important thing to put in there to understand how you're meeting the skills gaps within your organization. But for example, everyone has something they can put into this section of the business plan. Everyone has some knowledge and experience that can help them move forward. Whether it's communication, because you talk to people, or you're very good at talking to people, or maybe you're really good with numbers, so you could really throw yourself into the sort of accounting side of things and the and that sort of thing, or the tax return side of things. Maybe you've had experience in previous jobs in a relevant area, or maybe you've had experience in a job where you've had to deal with customers or talk to customers, in which case you'll have very valuable customer service experience, which every business will need. Maybe you're good on social media, which is absolutely more and more crucial every day. Maybe you're good with money, or maybe you've managed a budget before. Even if it's just a budget in your household, uh, that is also vital within a business. Managing money, understanding the money coming in and out of a business, and it could be more specialized than that. For example, I'll go back to the dog walking example. If you're a dog walker, maybe you've owned dogs for years, or if you are planning to open a bakery, maybe you've worked in a bakery before. All this sorts of things. Any time when in this section you want to explain, oh, I've had a job, don't just say that you've had the job. Say what skills you got from that job and what experience you have from the job. But yeah, this is all about you, and this is not a place to be humble either. You want to explain in explicit detail why you're the best person for this business. Next up, we'll talk about your product or service. It sounds very obvious, but what is your product? How are you going to make it? How will the customer get it? Are you going to be giving it to them in person? Are you going to be posting this to them? Is this a service, so you need to turn up in person to walk their dog, or I don't know, give them a hand massage? It's all like it completely depends on what your product or service is. But one thing to definitely avoid here is any jargon. You want to explain your product or service to sort of, well, I suppose it depends who your business plan is aimed at. If you are, so for example, say say your business is providing social media help to small businesses, and you want to present it to a potential investor who also has a lot of experience in social media. In that circumstance, yes, I suppose you could use jargon, and you could, show your understanding of the area by maybe using word that other people with no experience of social media would not understand, like things like reach or engagement or different sort of metrics involved with social media. But in most cases, you want to assume the person reading it has no understanding of your product, of the industry you're working in, of it, anything at all, really. So you want to explain it from the bare bones with no jargon, and as almost, you don't want to say too much as well. You want to be as succinct as possible. But yeah, also, so you talked about your product or service. What goes into your product or service? If you're making something, say you are making jewelry, what are the individual things that go into making that? What beads are you using? Where are they sourced from? Are they sourced ethically? Are they what is their value? How much do they cost? How much does it cost to make this product, and how much will you be selling it for? How will you get it to the customer? Yeah. How are you going to be selling online? Are you going to be selling in person? What are you doing with this product or service? What's special about it? Literally everything, every question you could possibly have about it. Market research. This is an incredibly important part of your business plan. This is where you work out if your business is feasible. This is where you work out who's going to buy from me. Because there's no point in having a fantastic product that maybe you love, you think is the best thing in the world, if you don't have other people out there that will agree with you and buy from you. So first of all, in this section, you want to work out who are your customers, who's your target market, who's most likely to buy from you. This is absolutely crucial for so many reasons, actually. So it's a really common thing that we have clients say, where they say, well, obviously anyone can buy from me. I'll sell my product to anyone. So my target market is everyone. Which is fine and dandy. We're not saying don't sell to people outside of your target market, but it's a much more efficient use of your time, energy, resources, everything, to first work out who's most likely to buy from me. Because I don't know, I'll give an example that I always give of if you wanted to set up a dog walking company. I don't know if you can tell I quite want to set up a dog walking company, but anyway, that's the future. But say if you wanted to set one up, um, firstly, there's no point targeting everyone. There's no point just giving a leaflet or something to everyone you see. As a note as well, you can't necessarily just give out leaflets. In many cases, you need licenses to do so. But anyway, to say if that weren't the case and you just gave out a leaflet to everyone you saw, regardless of anything. Um, First of all, you don't know if you're giving the leaflets to people who own dogs necessarily, unless they got a dog with them. They might just be walking it. They might be your competition. Anyway, so my point is, you need to first have a think and think, right, I could just give out my leaflets, or I could just send out my advertising to everyone and anyone. This doesn't have to be in person. This could be online. This could be Google Ads. This could be a Facebook promotion. Anything. Or and you could just send out a blanket one and just hope that someone in there reads it and it applies to them. Or you could have a think about, right, who is most likely to buy from me and how do I reach them? So in this scenario, you need people who own dogs. So that's a really good starting point. So first of all, work out, uh, right, what's the rate of dog ownership like in this area? Or where can I find people who own dogs? It could be things like dog groomers, dog parks, vets, things like that. And then you also want to narrow it down maybe a bit further, like, okay, so I'm also trying to aim at people who, I suppose, one reason that you might need a dog walker could be that you're working full time, so you can't go home and walk the dog because you're at the office all day. Not so much the case these days. But say if that were the case, um, uh, you would need to then another element of your demographic is right, people working 9 to 5. So perhaps not to try and uh, you know have customer communication during those times. So now right, the way that if I were to time Facebook posts, it would be outside of working hours because I'm aiming at people who have full-time employment. Uh, you could also think, right, what age range am I aiming at? What age range are most likely to have a dog? And when you think about it, you maybe need to be, most of the time before you can have a dog, you need to own your home because most of the time landlords won't rent to dog owners, or they won't let you have a dog about. So maybe you're now aiming at people who own their own home or have a mortgage. That tends to be people. You don't get many students with mortgages. You don't get many people who are on the younger side getting mortgages. So maybe now you're aiming for a bit older than that, maybe late 20s, 30s upwards. So even there. So now you've got a few things that define your target market. I mean, there are more you could add. You could maybe be targeting people who might need a dog walker because they have mobility issues, or because they need to isolate right now. It's all these sorts of things are things that can help you understand, right, who are my target market. So now you've come up with a few things that define the demographic of people that you're most likely to sell to. Now you can have a good old think about in your next section in the marketing plan, how do I reach those people? And you wouldn't be able to have that sort of that thought process if you were just blanket saying, right, I'll sell to anyone. So yeah. So your market research, first of all, says who's your target customer. Second of all, who's your competition. This is absolutely crucial because you could do all that market research and also have a think into what need is there for the product in your neighborhood or in the area you're working in, and then you could also find out. All right, so there's huge demand for this. There's huge demand for, again, I'll give the same example, dog walkers. But you know what? There's also loads of dog walkers. So there's loads of competition, and they're all doing what I was planning to do. You need an understanding of the competition, and you need an understanding of how you're going to set yourself apart from them, because you are behind by a bit if you're doing the exact same thing as them. You need to stand out in some way because they're already set up. They're a bit ahead of you, and they've overcome probably some of the challenges that you will be starting off with, as in like having maybe a low number of customers, or trying to build up business procedures. They're much further along, so you're going to have to do something quite special in order for people to go to you instead of them. This is where your unique selling point comes in. What sets you apart? And that could be that, I mean, in many scenarios your unique selling point is you. because no other business will have you. You know, maybe you have sort of, you know, a lot of experience with dogs, or maybe you have a lot of experience with customers, all the sort, or maybe you're just easy to talk to, and you know, people will very easily trust you to take care of their dog. It's all about trying to work out what sets you out. But another, you know, other unique selling points could be that other dog walkers might not do, could be perhaps you only walk one dog at a time. Maybe you deal, you know, you only cater to people who they don't want other dogs around their dog, or maybe maybe their behavior isn't great, so they need to be kept apart from other dogs. Maybe they're aggressive, or maybe you cater to dogs with medical needs, like you know, so you have a dog first aid certificate or things like that. Have a look at your competition, work out what they're doing, work out if there's any gaps in what they're doing that you can cater to, or if you're planning to do the same thing as them, work out, right, well, how can I do it better? What will make customers come to me instead of them? I mean, it could be that your prices are a lot lower. That is sort of a route that a lot of new companies go down. One thing I would advise against with that is a bit of a hard thing to get out of. So, you know, if you start a business and the reason people come to you and the reason that people recommend you and stuff is because, oh, really good value, really cheap, it's hard to get out of that sort of that ditch. You know, when that becomes the sort of main sort of reason people go with you, it becomes hard to convince people of the value of what you're offering. And in any case, I think I think the main thing to remember is, if you're trying to get into the market by offering a very low price, try and communicate and make it obvious that that is going to change. Like perhaps voice it as a starting offer or a short-term offer, rather than, my business is really cheap, so come buy from me. It all depends on how much, you know, it's not necessarily sustainable as well to just to charge really low prices. That is, you know, one of the main reasons businesses can peter out, just because, you know, maybe you're doing loads of work but not enough money's coming in. So yeah, very carefully consider your pricing. And yeah, your marketing plan is another thing that goes into your business plan. So as I said, what's your unique selling point, and how do you communicate that to other people through whatever marketing you go with? Whether it's Facebook, whether it's through a website, whether it's through, you know, in person, through like networking and things like that. How do you communicate to people what sets you apart and why people should come to you? How clearly do you do that? How accessible is the way you do that? You know, are you making it easy to understand? Are you making it so that you know, you're catering to maybe people with like additional needs? You know, so for example, if you have if you're doing it through a website, are you making that giving them an option to have a bigger font? All these little things that try and work out, like, how will you get that point across, and how will you get that point across to as many people as possible within your business. Yeah, so how will you promote yourself? There's so many different ways of doing it, online and offline, although probably online is most suitable right now, given the current situation. If you're going to use a social media platform, which one will you use? Because there's loads and they all have different strengths and weaknesses to them. So for example, if you were selling to businesses rather than to individuals, so B2B, business to business, LinkedIn might be your best bet, because more people operate on LinkedIn in like a business capacity. If you're going for a more personal approach, you might try Facebook or Twitter. If your product or service is very, very visual, you might want to try Instagram. You know, there's hundreds of different social media platforms, and some of them are more niche than others. But you need to work out, right, once you defined your target market, there's my target market, where are they? And if they're all on Twitter, go to Twitter. Or if they're all on Instagram, you know, go to Instagram. Next up, you think having in your business plan, you want to be talking about finances. So first of all, having a good understanding and showing a good understanding of your startup costs. So what are the costs that get you to trading? This could be 100 different things. This could be stationery. This could be getting the materials needed to make your stock. This could be getting appropriate insurance for your company. Uh, there's loads of different things that could make startup costs, but you need to show an understanding. Oh, excuse me. Oh no, I'm coughing. See, I bet you're glad you're not in the room with me now. Sorry. Sorry, I just need a drink of water. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, having an understanding of your startup costs, what they are, um, especially if you're planning to apply for finance, such as through loans and things like that, through like startup loans, you will need a very in-depth understanding of what your startup costs are, because whenever anyone wants to, whenever anyone is planning to loan money to someone, I mean, in any circumstance, not just for a startup loans company, if you were just lending money to, like, I don't know, someone in your family or something, first thing you'd ask is, what exactly are you going to spend it on? And if they're like, I don't know, you're like, well, do you need this money? So you need a very in-depth understanding of, I'm going to spend this much on this much on this much on this, and this is the reason why, and here is, here's my reasoning behind it and why it's a good decision. So yeah, in any case, an understanding of what costs you need to get you to trading. And most business plans will also include a ongoing cash flow forecast, so one that will cover like a year of money coming in and out of their business. And this will obviously take into account like sales coming into the company and expenses going out of the company. And it's a prediction, no one can tell the future, but that is sort of, a cash flow forecast is pretty standard thing to have. And one of the things that indicates a cash flow forecast, before you do a cash flow forecast, where your starting point is a sales forecast. So this is how you try and again predict, make a guess at, almost an educated guess as to when money is going to be coming in and out of your company. And so when people are going to be buying from you. So if you expect a lot of sales during Christmas because you're a gift-based business, and then you might expect a very, very quiet January, having an understanding of that will help you understand what money you can spend within your business and what you need to put aside for those quiet times and things like that. And then future plans is another element of the business plan that's very important. Where is your business going? What's the plan? Where are you? What's happening 6 months down the line? Are there any emerging trends that you could sort of hop into the back of? Is there anything that's working particularly well in your business that you might want to pivot towards a bit more? Like if there's one product doing a lot better than the others, are you planning to move more in that direction? Or are you planning to expand your business? Are you planning to get more employees? Are you planning to supply to more shops or to reach more customers? Where do you see yourself in a year or so's time? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? What's your sort of ultimate goal for the company? And then also trying to work out any emerging gaps in the market, so any opportunities coming up in the near future that may, present, as I say, an opportunity for your business. So this next thing, and you've probably, it's quite a common thing to come across. It's called a SWOT analysis. So what we do here is, what a SWOT analysis is you having to think about, right, I have this business. What are the strengths and the weaknesses within the business, and opportunities and threats? So an example of each one, strengths and weaknesses, they tend to be more of a personal thing. They tend to be the person whose business it is describing strengths and weaknesses, personal to them. Opportunities and threats are more business oriented. So opportunities out there for your business, and threats out there for your business. So to give an example of strengths, your strengths could be you have a lot of experience in the sector you're going into. It could be that you're a people person, so you have those communication skills. It could be that you're good at budgeting. It could be that you are, you're hard to stress out. It literally, there's hundreds of different things it could be. But yeah, identifying something that you're good at and where you're, positive skills that you have. So to give an example of one strengths I myself have, I think one of my strengths is communication, and also I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, I'm an illustrator, so another one of my strengths is that I can draw very well. So there's two right there as examples. Weaknesses. So this is where you pick out, again, and it can be quite hard to do, weaknesses that you have, stuff that you need to work on. So it may be that business specific skills, you don't have those yet, or networking skills you don't yet have. Or it could be things like, again, to give an example for myself, time management. Maybe you're not so great at managing your time and getting stuff done to a deadline. Maybe you need extra help with that, such as like a well organized calendar or people to remind you of things, all that sort of stuff. Opportunities. So yeah, to list opportunities within your business, it could be there could be a trend in the market where people are buying more and more things, and yeah, changing demand for something. I mean, it's strange because actually the current coronavirus threat does actually give a good example of how things like this can be an opportunity and a threat, because obviously it's been an absolutely huge threat to a lot of businesses who have had to change the way they're dealing with things and change to remote working and whatnot. But it has also represented an opportunity for people to move online, maybe save costs on like workspaces in the future now that they've been able to move their whole operations online. Also, it's been a huge opportunity for certain providers. Like if you're making hand sanitizer right now, you're doing fantastically well. And if you're but then obviously the same thing has threats, and this is every SWOT analysis of every business will be different, but that's probably going to be a very present thing on a lot of people's SWOT analyses at the moment. So yeah, identifying and other threats to your business could be things like unable to meet demand, which is kind of good and bad because it means there's demand for your product, but perhaps you're not able to, maybe you don't have the staff or the capacity at the moment to meet that demand. Changing regulation. Another threat could be a low number of customers or a low number of maybe like your customers not being able to reach you at the moment. So yeah, a SWOT analysis is essentially you making a list of all the things in each of these categories. So your personal strengths, your personal weaknesses, and your business's opportunities for your business and threats for your business. So yes, I think as an activity now, what I'm going to ask is for you to, again, pause the video here and essentially have a go at completing a SWOT analysis. So I think have at least 3 things in each of these areas. If you're unable to think of that many things, don't worry about it, but have a go at 3. That's the magic number in each of these areas. I'd say give yourself 5 or 10 minutes to do that. Essentially, however long it takes. If you're struggling, then we can move on. But yeah, I especially want everyone should be able to fill in their strengths and weaknesses section. And I want you to have a real big think about your strengths, because I often notice when I go around clients' SWOT analysis, when I go around during classes, I often see very sort of smaller strength sections than weaknesses. And I think that's sort of maybe a lot of people are inclined to forget what they're good at or be very humble about what you're good at. There will be a lot of things that you're good at and strengths you have and can bring to this business. Just have a real good think about it. As I say, it can be things like communication. It could be the network that you have. Maybe you know people that would either be able to help you or support you or are relevant within the sector you're going into. Could just be that you're hardworking, it could be anything. And then weaknesses, yeah, have a think about what you need to work on in order to be in the right place to make this business work. So yeah, essentially give yourself, I say 5 or 10 minutes, and pause your video here and have a go now. Right, so hopefully you're back and have had a go at that. Hopefully at least something in every column. I get in every section. Ideally, as I say, 3 things. And yeah, I often find it very difficult to complete. You kind of want to have a go at a SWOT analysis every 3 months or so in your business, just to show that you have You got a grasp of how things are going. I mean, in times of change or in times of everything, going a bit doolally, such as now, you might want to complete it even more often than that, just to show that you have, just to maintain that understanding of where your business is at. Okay, so we'll move on now to SMART objectives. So it is so important within your business to set objectives, to set goals that you want to work towards. It's a really good way of understanding, of trying to push your business forward. But there's no point setting those goals if you're setting the wrong kind of goals. So, for example, if you were to just set the goal, I want my business to get better, there is literally no way to really understand when that has been achieved. There's no time limit on it. There's nothing, it's not specific at all. So when you set objectives, you want to set them in a way that makes the most of them, a way that makes the most of your time and your energy, and in a way that you know when you've achieved it. So, your business objectives should be specific. They should say exactly, the thing that you're wanting to achieve you should know when it's been achieved, and it shouldn't be vague. So it could be things like, I would like 5 more customers in July. And also making it measurable is important. So it needs to be a metric that you can understand when you've completed it or not. So make sure that it's either got a number associated with it, or it is measurable at its outcome. Achievable, incredibly important, because it's so disheartening to set yourself a goal and then it just be kind of pie in the sky goal, and you can't, no matter how hard you work, you won't be able to achieve it. So make sure that you are making this goal something that you can achieve, and tick off your to-do list when it comes along. Make sure it is relevant, so there's no point making a goal that doesn't relate to your business at all. That should be quite obvious. And here's another important one, time bound. Make it so you can understand exactly when your deadline is. When do you need to achieve it by? Because you can set the most, you can set yourself a very achievable, specific, measurable goal, but give yourself no incentive to achieve it by a certain time if you don't set that out, if you don't set that in motion for a date, or by this month or by Christmas or something like that. So, for example, I want to make my business better could be changed to, I want to find 3 new customers for my business every month from here until February or something like that. It can also reflect, something that you want to achieve personally. It might be, oh, I want to complete this online training course by the end of April. That is specific. If you say you should say exactly what the training course is, and when it's been achieved once you've reached the end of that training course, perhaps when you've achieved a qualification that comes at the end of it. It is achievable. You should have looked into that training course and understood the time constraints involved and whether you're able to do it. It's relevant. Hopefully that training course is perhaps in a skill relevant to your business, and it's time bound. You've set yourself a date to do it by. So I would like to now we've had to think about those objectives, and I'd say in general you want to only be working with about 3 SMART goals at a time. And the next step, though, is, so we've just done a SWOT analysis and we've just had a chat about what a SMART objective is. I'm going to combine those 2 sort of concepts now. I would like you to have a think about a weakness and an opportunity that you should have hopefully outlined in your SWOT analysis. And have a think about setting an objective, a SMART objective, to address this problem. So, for example, if you have a weakness that is, I'm really bad with numbers, numbers stress me out or they freak me out, your SMART objective could be, I'm going to go to a bookkeeping course in June, which I will complete by July. Ideally, you want to set an even, July 5th or something like that. And then in completing that goal, you will help address that weakness. I mean, it could also be I will source an accountant by the end of this month. Again, that is a way to address that weakness. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And then also, I want you to set a SMART objective that helps to take advantage of an opportunity you've laid out. So, for example, I am an illustrator. An opportunity within my business is that people love their pets, and probably more directly as well, their dogs. So a SMART objective I could set to take advantage of this is that I will advertise and sell 3 pet portraits by the end of the month. And then try and understand, how will I achieve this objective? How will I get the messaging out there? How will I deliver the product to the customer? How will I achieve this goal? But yeah, so essentially, this activity is set yourself 2 SMART objectives. One, to help improve a weakness you may have through like personal development, whether that's taking an online course or practicing something that you're not too good at within your business. And the next is taking advantage of an opportunity you've identified and setting yourself a SMART objective to do that. Okay, Bill. Yeah, I'd say essentially have a go at that before we start the next section, which I'll begin in our next video. Brilliant. Thank you very much.